Hey y'all, welcome back. Today I am so excited to continue my summer seasonal color analysis palette collection with you. And today we are taking a look at my more cool toned to neutral cool toned eyeshadow palette. Without further hesitation, let's get right into the palettes. This feels shameful for being someone who doesn't wear a ton of eyeshadow, but let's go through it real quick. There's not going to be a ton of swatching in this video just because that would take forever. I'm going to start off with this Bare Minerals Mineralist eyeshadow in Ultra Natural. Looks like this, like you've got 6 little shades, and I do like that. I mean, if you want to condense it, you can take this out. Maybe you could put this like in a magnetic palette or something. I don't know. It's a workable palette for, I would say, soft summer, soft autumn. I just found this to be extremely underwhelming, and it says cool neutral. Cool neutrals. Okay, agree to disagree because I feel like Dawn and Sandstone pull warm. Yeah, that looks warm to me. That doesn't look cool, but sometimes with an eyeshadow palette, you do need a mix of neutral and cool tones. I feel like this is one of those color stories, again, that could work really well for soft muted summer, soft muted autumn, deep dark winter, deep dark autumn. For me, I just found it a little meh, but my goal is in the soft summer, soft autumn season to use this to create a look with. That's kind of my goal with reorganizing everything, is I've got all this beautiful makeup I want to share with you, because that's why I have this, is to share with you the best makeup for different color palettes, and I want to create things in case it's something that you are curious about. So this is going to go into my soft summer makeup selection. One of my favorites, Urban Decay Naked 3. Ooh, she is an oldie, but she is a goodie. The first one of these I used all of them up except for the 4 down here. I think Mugshot, I was scraping the edges, but Factory, Dark Side, Dark Heart, they were all 3 like Pan and Empty. Like, I know these 4 down here were gone. Like, they were just gone in my original palette. This is a great palette. I feel like most any summer color palette can make this work, although this does lend itself to working best for a soft muted summer because it does have some flecks of warmth in it. So this, I would say, if you are a soft muted summer looking for an easy all-in-one palette, check out Urban Decay Naked 3. That's if it's still around. I'm always fearful they are going to discontinue Urban Decay Naked 3 because all the other Naked palettes have been discontinued. So if it's still available, check it out. Fingers crossed it stays around forever because it is such a good pinky neutral palette. Another great pinky neutral eyeshadow palette. This is the MAC x9 Dusky Rose x9. And this is another really beautiful pinky neutral. It does have some flecks of warmth in here, and you have a mix of shades that are permanent in the MAC Cosmetics range as well as some that are exclusive to this. The x9 color palettes, when I worked for MAC, these were very hit or miss. I remember Dusky Rose and Burgundy, and sometimes, depending on which palette you're using, the semi-sweet could sometimes work really well, but I've seen these getting phased out over the last couple years, so I'm fearful Dusky Rose might be getting phased out. But if it's still available and you are a soft summer, soft autumn, this is a really nice, easy to travel with palette, and it's small and compact, coming in roughly the size of my palm. Very reminiscent of the Urban Decay Naked 3. This is the CoverGirl True Naked Roses palette, and let's just take a look at this. So here is the CoverGirl. Here is the Urban Decay. Like, look at this. You've got some similar shades down here on the deeper end. You've got those midtones and you have the lighters. If you like the Urban Decay but you don't want to spend Urban Decay prices, check out the CoverGirl. CoverGirl shadows are a little bit more powdery. They're a little bit more crumbly, but for the price difference, I believe this is between $9 and $12 here in Canada. This is, I think, around $60 now here in Canada. I would say if you're curious about the colors, try it out. Or if you just don't want to spend a lot, check out the CoverGirl. It's really, really beautiful for a really beautiful color story for soft muted summer or deep dark winter. We have another favorite of mine from CoverGirl. This is the CoverGirl Eye Enhancers, and this is Pure Romance. Yes, number 235, Pure Romance. This is perfect for a true cool summer. And when I say it's perfect, you can use these 3 lighter shades to kind of create your everyday eye look. Like you have your all over shade or highlight shade, you have a mid-tone for your socket, you have a little bit of shimmer to deepen it up, add some liner, or you could even use the darkest charcoal shade. Or what I like to do is use them in reverse order, start with this and work my way down, and you can create a really nice smoky eye. All around the year, this is perfect. The shadows are a little bit more sheer, so you might have to build it, but it is so easy and perfect for creating your soft summer foggy eyes, which is what I like to call a soft summer smoky eye. Beautiful. And super, super affordable. I recently had some questions about some of the Viseart eyeshadows, and this is the Viseart Petite Pro in Midsummer. I keep the little shade protector on here because the shimmers down here are crumbly. This is really pretty. I just never think to reach for it because I find the neutrals to be a little too muted, too warm for my preference, and when I use this palette, the only colors I reach for are the lightest shade. I love using this pink shade for like a smoky pink berry contrast, and I love this metallic shade down here. There's been times where I will dig this palette out just to apply this shade down here all over my lid, put on some mascara, and call it a day. Like, this is one of my favorite one and done shades, and it shifts from pink red to like this rusty shade. It is just so pretty, so easy to use. I have still been on the hunt to find a single eyeshadow similar to this one shade from Viseart. Closest thing I have found is called Winter Garden from Sydney Grace, and I'm going to do a separate video all about my Sydney Grace eyeshadows, so stay tuned for that. I can't remember if I said what palette I think this is best for. Viseart Petite Pro in Midsummer. This is great for soft muted summers. Then we have my other permanent Viseart. This is the Petite 4 in Lilas. I love this. This is muted. This is smoky. This is almost like my more high-end version of my CoverGirl eye enhancers in Pure Romance. Lilas is just beautiful for a true cool summer. You can wear it sheer. Like, what I love about this is you could easily take your finger and apply one of the shimmer shades all over and then put one of the mattes in the socket line, and you just have an easy smoky eye that is just perfect for all occasion. It's such an easy, versatile palette, and my thing with Viseart is I never pay full price. I subscribe to the Viseart newsletter, and 2-3 times a year they have these really big sales, and you can get up to 40% off some of their products. So that is when I purchased Viseart, and this is one of my favorites. Petite 4 in Lilas. This one is just staring me down. I think this is my only Chanel powder eyeshadow. I could be mistaken, but as far as I can remember, this is my only Chanel powder eyeshadow I have. Les for Ombre Multi-Effect Quad Eyeshadow in 226. So here you have just 4 muted colors. You know what? I need to swatch this just because I don't even remember what they look like. So top 2 shades and then the bottom 2. Muted neutral plum palette. It's pretty. I feel like of all the summer palettes, this is definitely leaning into soft summer, but I feel like this would almost shine better as a deep winter eyeshadow palette, especially for a beautiful deep winter everyday eyeshadow look. This would be really beautiful because you still have that muted aspect to this, which would carry over into deep winter from deep autumn, but you have these like deeper neutrals paired with these more light to mid-tone reflective shades. You know what? I'm gonna move this to my deep winter eyeshadows. Let's get the rest of these designer eyeshadows out of the way. We have the Dior. Oh, I am so saddened by this. This is the previous formulation of the Dior, what are these called? 5 color eyeshadow palette. This is number 76922. Sadly, sadly, Tutu was discontinued. And as far as I know, when I've looked at the reformulation or reimagining of the Dior Quince, Tutu is no longer part of the range, which this was my favorite. I love this. This was perfect for true winter or true summer. It is just so beautiful and easy to work with. I am not going to be placing this in my makeup archive. This is going to stay here at my desk because these two shimmery shades right here, I love using as just basic washes of color over the lid. The purple, you need to be a little bit more careful with, like you could sheer it out, but if I just really put this on, sheer it out, and then either take this light shimmer shade or even one of the matte shades and then use that to kind of create a one and done smoky effect with a lot of mascara, you can elevate a simple evening look to something really, really magical. You know what? I might not keep this here at my desk. I might just put this into my travel makeup bag and just have this on the go for travel and day-to-day usage. So love this. Unfortunately, no longer available. And just as a whole, Dior is reformulating what seems like everything in their range. And some of my favorites aren't coming back, at least not in the first release. So Dior Tutu, sadly, no longer with us. I have two from Tom Ford. The first one is one I purchased. This is Sous le Sable and looks like this. Like, here, let me see if this will translate. Sometimes it translates well on camera, sometimes it doesn't. Top two shades, and then the bottom shades. Here they look different enough, like swatched out on my arm. They look like, you know, you could apply them and they would create a really dimensional eye look. My issue is, this color, whenever I use the shimmery shade from this top right, it makes the whole look pull very, very warm. This just blends together into this muddy look that no matter what I do, it always ends up looking like the same combination, even if I've taken the time to use like just these two or even these, any combination, it just looks like the same muddy mess. And I don't know, I need to rehome this, but Tom Ford eyeshadow quads are just so expensive and I feel guilty for just giving it away. Workable for soft summer, maybe. I feel like this is better for soft autumn or deep dark autumn. Also from Tom Ford, one of my favorites. And just forewarn, mine is grubby. Tom Ford Wet to Dry formula in Nude Dip. This is still one of my favorites. So your top two shades and the bottom two. I love this eyeshadow so much. I don't really use this to create a full eye look. For me, this is like a palette of one and done shades or a quad of one and done shades. This is going to be, once again, best for, I would say light spring could work with this, but this is, once again, this is going to be more of a soft summer eyeshadow quad because it is quite muted. And can you hear that? Mine is just so loved. Like, I need to like WD-40 the latch, but Tom Ford Nude Dip, I really, really love it. One more from a designer brand. This is the Dior Backstage Neutrals in Cool Neutrals. There is whispers this could be being discontinued. It's being reformulated because they have released, I can't remember if it's one or two, where they have done away with the primer shade, which clearly I have never used, and put in one more eyeshadow. But I love this. If you are light summer, cool summer, or a soft summer, this is, in my mind, an essential palette. You can build these shadows from sheer to moderately full coverage, and they blend out really easily. And I recently featured this in my cool toned Pillow Talk makeup tutorial because you can use these shades to dupe the vibes of Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk quad, but make it more cool toned since Pillow Talk runs quite warm toned and is a very autumnal color story. So Dior Backstage Neutrals and Cool Neutrals is a win for any summer color palette. Love, 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 love this. One of my original favorites for travel makeup, we have Urban Decay Naked Basics number 2, number 3. Number 2 is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, all matte. So yeah, these are mostly all matte. Skimp is going to be, it's more satiny finish versus like a flat matte or a shine. These are just a really nice neutral palette. Skimp runs warmest of all of the shades. The other 5 are all pretty neutral to neutral cool. This is just a really great versatile color palette that I feel like any summer color palette could work for. And for that matter, I feel like any winter could use this as a great base shade. Like if you have something like this and then another palette or some singles of your favorite glittery shades, that's all you really need for an everyday basis if you're someone who likes to keep your eyeshadow routine fairly minimal. So this is a favorite. I'm going to keep this with my light summer makeup just because it's so easy to reach for. So again, this is the Urban Decay Naked 2 Basics. Then we have the Urban Decay Naked 3 Mini, which is the most recent mini palette. And here you have your really beautiful rosy neutrals. And let's just take a look at this compared to the full size of the Urban Decay Naked 3. You have some similarities, like you have like Public and Trick that look similar. Laced Up is almost in between Nooner and Limit. Stolen is like a mix of, is that Buzz? Yeah, Buzz, Burnout, and Liar. Right Time is going to be most similar to Nooner, and then Spiced is almost like a mix of Dark Side and Dark Heart. So right down here. Honestly, you have different colors, but overall, these feeling in the element is quite similar, or the feeling and the principle of the color stories are similar. So if you like this, but you feel like you won't use all of them, or you're someone who travels a lot, maybe try out the Urban Decay Naked Mini 3. These are both beautiful additions in a soft or muted summer makeup collection. This keeps staring at me, and I just think it is one of the best drugstore palettes. I recently saw someone review this and said that they thought this was horrible and it didn't blend well, but I guess it's expectations. Like if you're someone who has only ever used high-end eyeshadow, this is going to feel powdery. It's going to feel chalky, but I just find it so fun and so easy to work with. It's small, it takes up no space in a travel bag, and if you're someone who likes to create soft, easy, everyday makeup look, this is another one of those palettes I feel like that can work for any summer color palette. I'm a light summer. I use this quite often. It's just easy to work with, easy to blend. I love this so much, and I will continue to have this in my collection. Maybelline The City Mini Palette, and this is in 520 Sunscape Dusk. I have another one for Maybelline. This is the Blushed Nudes, and this is going to, ooh, hold on, I need to look at this color palette and compare this to something else. I feel like we might have a 3-way dupe situation. So Maybelline The Blushed Nudes, Natasha Denona's Retro Glam, ColourPop Petals and Point. Blushed Nude is almost more similar to Petals and Point. So I'm just going to take Retro Glam out. Let's take a look at these two real quick. So Maybelline Blushed Nudes and ColourPop Petals and Point. These are both very similar, but I love both of these. Petals and Point run slightly more cool toned than Blushed Nudes. So let's continue focusing on Blushed Nudes. This is great for any type of soft muted summer collection. The greens in here are so beautiful. If you really shear them out, they almost take on this like platinum effect on the eyes. And I find them really easy. They are not the most pigmented shadows. They're going to give you a soft, hazy effect over the eyes. You might have to work with it. This definitely benefits from some type of primer or concealer as a base. As an affordable eyeshadow palette, I feel like it's really nice. I mean, compared to something like ColourPop, is this still the most affordable thing? No. I mean, if you're curious, I'd say it wouldn't hurt to check it out, especially if you can get it on sale. I remember I got mine on sale on Amazon. Before I move into ColourPop, let's take a look at the Tarte Sugar Rush Frosted palette. I love this. This is almost like a K-beauty color story meets the Western market, and it smells like hot cocoa. It is just beautiful. I really like this. I think this is exclusive to Tarte's website and Ulta Beauty, but I love this. My favorite colors are Temptation and Sugar Coated. So beautiful, so easy to use. I actually enjoyed the Tarte Sugar Rush palette so much. I bought a second second one and sent it to one of my YouTube friends. And I bought the warmer variation for my mom because my mom is a warm autumn. So I bought this one for her. It can work for a light summer, but I feel like this excels in the soft summer or muted summer. Let's take a look at ColourPop. ColourPop is a brand I want to love, but I have had such a hard time finding my perfect ColourPop color story. Start off with ColourPop, that's taupe. And here you have a nice mix of cool and neutral taupe nudes. This is nice. This is really beautiful for a soft muted summer, soft muted autumn. True cool winter or true cool summer will find this slightly too warm, especially with shades like Pebble Beach and Constrictor. Like they might just feel like they pull too warm. They are more on that neutral warm side of neutral. So this is really nice, and I'm going to keep this with my soft muted summer colors. Next we have Making Mauves, and this is another really nice color story for soft muted summer, soft muted autumn. For me, it's just a little too muted. You do have some elements of warmth with R&R, Solitaire, and Tongue Tied, and the shimmer shades are absolutely beautiful. For me though, like I just don't reach for it enough. But I feel like if my coloring was a little bit more muted, I would reach for this more often than I do. But if you are someone who is, again, soft muted summer or deep dark winter, I feel like you would love this. So ColourPop Making Mauves. But let's take a look at Pretty Please. This is another purchase I made when I was at Ulta back around the holiday season when I was visiting my family for Christmas, and this packaging drew me in. It was just one of those things I felt like I needed. You have these predominantly cool tones. You do have shades like All the Frills, Old Money, and Feeling Flirtatious, which do pull warmer, but with the exception of Vintage Queen 444 and Sweet Thing, they are all shimmery. And the three matte shades you have, they are a little bit deeper, so I feel like this is quite hard to create look without just these colors. I do like certain colors. You can see my fingerprint in like Pearly, Love Letter, and Dear Diary. These are the only three colors I really use. Occasionally I do use All the Frills as like an inner corner highlight to add that pop of brightness. I don't know. I like to use this as an adjunct palette, and I use it a lot in combination with Petals and Point. For me, I am going to continue keeping this in my light summer makeup just because you do have the light little panel right here that I use quite a bit. And then other than these four shades, I rarely, if ever, reach for these down here. And then the ColourPop eyeshadow palette that made me really want to pay attention to ColourPop again. This is the ColourPop Petals and Point. And just look at these colors. You have these beautiful white-based colors. You have this pink, this green, and when I saw this, the first thing I thought about is the Natasha Denona Retro Glam. And I know Natasha Denona has sales on eyeshadow palettes periodically, so when I saw these two, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna love a pink and green color story because online, this looks like the most dreamy pastel 1950s color story. And I'm like, I'll wait for this to go on sale and I'll buy it. And I won't buy ColourPop because once I get the Natasha Denona, I won't reach for the ColourPop. So I let this beautiful ColourPop palette sit on the back burner. We'll talk about this. So needless to say, I ended up buying the Natasha Denona when it went on sale. I got this one for around 50% off at Sephora. And then I had some feelings that we will talk about. And it led me to still purchasing this one the last time I was in Virginia back at the beginning of June. And oh my goodness. If you want a vintage, cool, neutral eyeshadow palette that feels ethereal on the eyes, like you but better, but you can build it up to make it smoky, give ColourPop Petals and Point a go. You do get a fraction of warmth from the shade Encore. It's a taupe brown with hints of gold and a little bit of a golden pearl, but that's about all the warmth you're gonna get. Everything else feels very, very cool, and it is so easy to work with. If I only had one eyeshadow eyeshadow palette and this was my option, this is a great palette for every day. And the price point of ColourPop, I believe, is around $14. You can't beat it. I can't even put in words how much I love this. It is just so good. ColourPop Petals and Point. So beautiful. If I had one other palette I could keep in combination with ColourPop Petals and Point, it's going to have to be Huda Beauty Rose Quartz. This is a palette I had my eye on for the longest time because I think the colors are absolutely beautiful. And it wasn't until one of my lovely subscribers suggested this is one of her favorite eyeshadow palettes, and just over the time of her being a subscriber and of chatting back and forth in comments, it felt like we had very similar makeup preferences, and she said this was one of her favorite eyeshadow palettes. During the Sephora Beauty Insider sale, Huda Beauty was running a sale on their website, so I ended up getting this for between 30 and 40% off. I could not be happier. The colors I use the most are Cosmic Love. Look at that. Ooh, so good. Blissful, Moon Magic, and Self-Love. I love using these as accents to a neutral look. Cherished and Radiate are non-negotiables when creating a full makeup look. Like I normally use Cherish all over my lid and then Radiate to add some dimension to the outer corner and socket of my eye. And then I'll choose one of the shimmers to add a little bit of pizzazz to the rest of my look. And I love this. Just looking at the colors, especially these three up here. So Cosmic Love, Blissful, and Moon Magic. These three colors alone make me want to create a full makeup look. And I love using Moon Magic as an inner corner highlight. Like it's a periwinkle blue purple color. As an inner corner highlight, it adds that little pop of something special, little je ne sais quoi to your eye look. And my eyes are like a blue-green color, so this really pulls out that kind of icy green color to my eyes. I love this so much. So Huda Beauty Rose Quartz, such an underrated staple in my late summer or cool summer makeup collection. Let's get the Natasha Denona Retro Glam out of the way. My complaint with this is the pinks are not pink. Like Flare, Holly, and Belle, when I saw the promo imagery of this, these looked like beautiful pastel pink or rose shades. Flare is like a weird orangey red. Holly is like a salmon muted peach. And then Belle is like a pink terracotta that is almost, maybe it's not pink terracotta, maybe it's more of like a rose clay. Not the pink I was expecting. I wanted a beautiful, charming, brightening pink, and these are very matte meh for me. And then the greens. The greens just did not live up to expectations. So Evergreen and Marlin, like they're pretty, but I like the one from the ColourPop just as much. And then we have Sage and Fringe, Palladian. It's just like, the greens are beautiful. Like, I really like the greens. And of all the greens, I like Palladian the most. But if we look at this and compare those colors to the respective colors in the ColourPop Petal and Point, here, let me take a look. So you have Lace Me Up, which we'll put here. So Lace Me Up. And then we have Pink Ribbon, which I'm going to put right here. Then we have Grand Finale, which will be the deepest shade. So if we look at the pinks between the two palettes, you have a shimmery pink, a lighter pink, and then you have a deeper pink. And the pinks in the Petals on Point are more mauvey, where there's almost a coral salmon undertone to the pinky red shades and the Retro Glam. And then for the greens, instead of having the 5 greens that you have in Natasha Denona Retro Glam, you have 2. So you have Fluffed Tutu, which is going to be the most similar to Palladian, which, you know, that is pretty, like, I would say Palladian and Fluffed Tutu are dupeable colors. I feel like those would be considered a proper dupe. And then you have Plie. And then you have Plie, which we'll put it right down here. It's going to be a little bit more of an aqua green compared to the more truer tones. But you know, that works for me, and it's just like when I look at the colors I wanted from the Natasha Denona Retro Glam versus what I got, I did get some of the greens I wanted, but the two I used the most, they are dupable with the ColourPop, and the pinks are better, and the price point is better. If you look at cost per shadow, I got a better bang out of my dollar. I got a better value for my money out of ColourPop than I did the Natasha Denona Retro Glam, even though this was around 50% off at Sephora, $40 or $45, because I think these are around $80 here in Canada. Natasha Denona Retro Glam was a really big disappointment. Same for the Natasha Denona Glam palette. Everyone said that was the cool neutral palette to have, and that was my first Natasha Denona MIDI palette. Her two original, I think they were 35 pan palettes. There was like a blue green and like a purple brown. I had both of those in my freelance makeup kit. Those were wonderful. But when I started doing YouTube, building my own makeup collection, the Natasha Denona Glam was my very first palette, and I found that very disappointing and not as cool toned as everyone said it was. Natasha Denona Retro palette. I love this palette so much. This palette put Natasha Denona back on the map for me, and I like it. This is something, like, I guess you can tell kind of from how grubby some of my shadows look. It's just an easy, cool toned palette. You do have down here on, like, you have Vivian, Go-Go, Patty, Helio, and Amara, which do pull slightly warmer, but down here you have some neutral, cool tone shades, and Mod is a really nice brightening base color for me. This is a great staple for my, I would say, general winter, general summer color palette, meaning that you can work with the warmer, cooler, and neutral colors found within the summer or winter color palettes. This does feel more muted than a winter color story, which makes me feel like this is great for a true summer color palette. I really enjoy this. I'm going to continue keeping this with my light, cool, true summer makeup collection. The Sydney Grace Enduring Love. This is a wow eyeshadow palette. One of those color palettes that I feel like you can make this work for most of your winter or summer makeup looks. You have a great mix of neutral leaning cool, neutral leaning warm, but I do feel this leans slightly more neutral cool than it does neutral warm. Like Darcy and Devotion are going to be your warmest shades, and even then they don't feel as warm as the corresponding shades that you would find in the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. I really like this. The Sydney Grace shimmer formula is so silky on. The shade John is beautiful. I have created a look with that. I ended up deleting the video, but you know, we will find time to make a look with this palette. It's just really, really beautiful. And let me swatch Elizabeth and Ruth. Like, look at these colors. They just blend and spread so easily. This is such a great addition, especially if you like cool neutrals with a pop of warmth and a pop of high metal shimmer glam. This is a great eyeshadow palette, and I purchased this palette last year during the Christmas and July sale. We're coming to a close of the eyeshadow palette, so let's go through my K-Beauty eyeshadows. My first K-Beauty eyeshadow palette is from the brand Etude, and I can't remember the content creator's name, but he collaborated to create this Dusty Cat eyeshadow palette, and this is a really gorgeous soft summer eyeshadow palette. I do not know if this is still available. I feel like last time I was on Yes Style, this was still available, as well as the Club Clio website, because Clio and Etude are under the same umbrella. But this is a really beautiful eyeshadow palette for soft summer. Speaking of Clio, we have the Clio Pro Eye Palette in number 13, Picnic by the Sunset. This is a soft summer staple. Look at the shimmers. The shimmers in K-Beauty, so pretty, multi-dimensional shimmer. The Clio palettes are pricey for K-Beauty eyeshadow. They are more premium, running about the $40 to $50 range, but they are really, really good. And the nuance within your neutrals is so good. Picnic by the Sunset Clio Pro Eye Palette is a staple for soft muted summer, soft muted autumn. A new to me Clio Pro Eyeshadow Palette. This is in Atelier Hanan. When I saw this color story, I had to have it. Looks like this. And if I'm not mistaken, I first saw this being reviewed by Stacy Chan here on YouTube, and she is also a light summer. She creates really lovely cool tone centric content with a focus mixing K-beauty with Western beauty, and when she reviewed this palette, I had to get my hands on it. So let's take a look at the shimmer shades in here. Oh, those are so pretty. I love this like pinky copper shade. I do love some warmer elements within my makeup. Even though I'm a light summer verging on cool summer, I do like a pop of warmth here and there. Those are so pretty. Okay, I want to take a look at this one. Ooh, I'm so excited. Okay, tomorrow when I'm getting ready, I have to use this Clio Atelier Hanan palette. This is so pretty. And again, look at the shades. Those are so pretty. I'm so excited. So this is definitely going to my light summer, cool summer makeup stash. Something else I love about K-beauty or Korean beauty, for their expiration dates, they tell you the month, day, and year. So this expires in 2026, March 8th. Another favorite of mine is from Roman, and here I have a handful of their Better Than Eye palettes, and yes, look at this, one of the new Roman times Sanrio Better Than palettes, the My Melody palette. I'm so excited about that, but let's go in order in which they released. So the very first one you had is the Roman Better Than Eye palette in, I believe this is called Rosebud Garden. Yes, Better Than palette in number 3, Rosebud Garden. This is to be a muted, rosy, I would say this leans on the warm side. I feel like this is almost better for a soft, muted autumn because some of these colors, like let's just go with these 3 right up here, like they feel warmer than cool, but this does still look really pretty on a muted, cool undertone because you are going to have some warmer influence, especially if you have muted green eyes. These colors will make your eye color pop out. Like think about that rosy Huntington Whiteley coloring. This palette would look so beautiful. I love this for a muted summer. So Roman Better Than palette in 03 Rosebud Garden. Shortly after the initial release of the Secret Garden palettes from Roman's Better Than Eye palettes, they came out with a second wave, and I believe there was either 3 or 4 shade expansion add-ons, and this was one of them. This is 09 Peony Nude Garden. I've done a YouTube short about this. I also shared it on TikTok and Instagram. This is a really beautiful eyeshadow palette for cool toned skin that it can either be a light summer, cool summer, or soft summer. When looking at the way that they set their eyeshadow palettes up, if you go on like Yes Style or Olive Young, you can read some of the behind the scenes about how these palettes are created, and this palette in specific is organized to where it goes from lightest color value to the deepest, so you can gradually build your shade, bump up, bump up, bump up, bump up, and then you have these really nice brightening shimmery shades to just really add some highlight to the look. Peony Nude Garden is a staple for me, and this should, these pans should look a lot more used than they are. Like if you look closely, you can see where I dig my fingers in, because my everyday eye makeup, I kind of use my fingers to smudge and create looks. This lives in like my washroom makeup bag most of the time. Next we have Better Than Eyes in 09 Dreamy Lilac Garden, and this was part of the 2022 Spring Summer Milk Grocery Collection. And if I'm not mistaken, Milk Grocery Collection had almost like an emphasis on working for summer light tones. This is a really nice palette. I don't reach for it as much as I do Peony Nude Garden, and that's just because some of these deeper shades I find they can be a little patchy, but I still like it. I feel like this palette would work really well for any summer palette, but I'm going to sort this into my light summer, cool summer makeup selection. And then we have the newest one to my collection. This is the Roman times Sanrio Better Than palette, and this is the My Melody number 10 My Cheery Garden. If you're new to my channel, I am a sucker for anything cute. I love little Sanrio characters. I just love cute things. I'm not for certain this is going to stay in my summer makeup selection because these shades definitely feel warmer. I need to take pictures of this, so unfortunately I'm not going to swatch this today. But this is so cute. Look at the little cherry embossing. Okay, we'll just lightly swatch this. You can't really tell I swatched it. Oh, that's really pretty. Okay, so yeah, this definitely does pull warmer, and I knew that. There is another one that I can't think of the character's name, but it's like the little purple cutesy devil character. That was a really beautiful, purely cool toned color palette, but it felt very reminiscent in a way of Lilac Garden, of Dreamy Lilac Garden, so I didn't feel like I needed that one, this one, and the one I already have. This is limited edition, so this is going to probably end up being a little bit more of like a staple piece for the shelf that lives in my background with all of my favorite makeup memorabilia throughout the years. Okay, let's do some rapid fire. We have the Clio Pro Eye Palette Mini, and this is in Blooming Mauve. You have this really cute shade saver with the flowers and butterflies, and here you have a split pan with your basic neutral lid shade, your crease contouring shade, really pretty shimmers, and some mattes. Really great palette for, I would say, soft muted summer, and some of the shades could work really well for a cool true summer as well. Similar vein, neutral rosy palette that could work equally as well for a soft muted summer or soft muted autumn. This is from Etude. This is the Play Toned Eyes, and this is in Cashmere Mauve. Really nice palette, a nice simple palette for every day, and what I like is your kind of all over lid shade is kind of like the big pan in the palette. Such a nice palette, and I like this like heavy duty acrylic. This shouldn't be here. This is the Peri Para in the Moonlight palette, and this is a blush palette, so this belongs in the blush section, so we'll just do some quick swatches. Very soft, pretty. Depending on the shade, it goes a little warm, a little cool. It's so nice. And, you know, this is here. So let's bridge from this because this was part of a collection. So there is a matching eyeshadow palette from Peri Para, and this is called Moonlight Lavender Pink. Here's a blush palette. Let's take a look at the corresponding eyeshadow palette. Peri Para All Take Mood palette in the shade Moonlight Lavender Pink. This palette is so fascinating because depending on the temperature of the lighting around you, this shade and this shade, so the lighter of the two pinks and the lighter of the two chocolate mauve shades can appear a little warm. On my eyes, they pull purely cool toned, almost icy. This is such a beautiful palette, and I am just exhilarated to have this in my cool, true summer or light summer makeup collection. My first Peri Para All Take Mood palette. This is in Beautiful Rose. Really beautiful. You can see I've really had my finger all up in this shimmer shade, but it's just such an easy color to use all over the lids. And this is another palette great for soft, muted summers. Peri Para, Beautiful Rose. Beautiful. Most recently from Peri Para, I purchased the All Take Mood in Pinterest, which was the Spring Summer for 2021 collection. Up front, you have this really cute, like, battered effect, and on the inside, you have these gorgeous, cool tone palettes. Like, I love this palette because you have some more depth in here, but this depth would mean this is going to be a great color palette for cool, true summer or cool, true winter, and with it working for the cool, true summer winter, that means it would also work equally as well for soft muted summer or light bright summer. Beautiful, excited to have this, can't wait to play with this. Up next we have my little Roman Better Than I quad. So I have 4. I have 2 from the Milk series, W01, and I have W03, which is called Dry Strawberry. I think there's a W02 in the middle, and then I have one from the Hambach collection, and then I have one from the Music collection. This one, I think this This one is called Dry Lavender, and this is Dry Strawberry, and if I'm not mistaken, WO2 is called Dried Apricot. Could be mistaken, but that's still one I would like to get my hands on in the future, even though it's a little bit warmer. This is beautiful. This is my favorite. I reach for the most. When I last went down to Virginia to visit my family, I brought this with me, and this is such an easy to wear palette, and this purple shimmer, it's very sheer. You can build it up, but it is just such a fun all over lid shade with a little bit of mascara. I love this. So favorite for light summer, cool true summer. Dry Strawberry, and this is another really pretty palette. I actually used this in my light spring video, and I really like this. This could work for light summer, but I do feel like the colors run slightly too warm, and this lends itself better to a light spring, with the exception of the brown. But even then, the brown, it's very sheer. You can build it up to be more intense, but as you blend, it's not going to have the same intensity or color depth of something like a black or dark ebony brown. This makes it overall a quite low contrast color story, which makes this great for the summer light or spring, more so spring light color palette. So this is going to go into my spring light makeup collection. Next, we have Dry Violet, which was part of the Hanbok collection, and this is really nice. It is extremely muted and it gets smoky for me. That color right there, the shimmer topper shade, I love that, but even there, you can see compared to especially Dry Lavender, it's quite muted. So this is going to go into my soft muted summer. And then we have this one from the musical collection. If I'm not mistaken, this is like dried, it's either called dry buckwheat or dry barley. I honestly am not certain why I bought this. I don't think I've ever used it. So there is the top two shades, nice color pigmentation, and the bottom two. This feels very autumnal to me, so it's pretty. I'm going to move this down to my autumn makeup colors because it's just a little too muted and warm for my personal preferences. I feel like by the time I finish watching this video, I will finish this giant bottle of Bioderma. We have 4 more eyeshadow palettes. Let's take a look at another Clio Pro eye palette. This is the Lazy Soft Paw palette, and to be completely fair, I bought it because it has cats on it, and I'm just a sucker for anything with a cute cat on it. In the packet, you have these like little stickers which you can adorn your palette with, and I will at some point. I just haven't had the opportunity to take pictures of this and swatch it yet. My goodness, look at the little paw, and you have a teddy bear. Oh, and there's another little paw. That's so cute. This definitely has some warmth to it. It's a warm, muted, leaning cool neutral. Like you have a few cool tones like up here. It's almost like here feels more cool toned. Well, actually these two down here might be cool. Yeah, those are pretty neutral. So you have a nice mix of neutral, cool, neutral, warm. I believe this was marketed as the more cool toned option of the two palettes. It's really cute. I cannot wait to play with this. So this is going to go into the soft summer colors. Next, we have my first eyeshadow palette from Wake Make. This is the Soft Blurring Eye Palette in 04 Lavender Blurring. When I saw this color story on Olive Young's website, this screamed light, bright summer, and I'm like, okay, this will be mine. So I purchased it, and I have used some of it. It's really nice. The formula of these shadows makes it look like even after you have used it, you haven't really disturbed the product too much. It's really nice. Some of the colors do feel a little repetitive, but there is definitely like a thought process of being able to build and graduate and softly blur the look of your shadows like the name of the palette intends. This is really lovely, and if you are a fair-skinned light or bright summer, I would say check this out. Last up, we have 2 more. Let's start with the Decay 18 color eyeshadow palette in Berry Smoothie. Cute packaging similar to the blush. Inside you have these really interesting little split pan shadows. This again is going to lean very cool tone. This is going to be great for a summer light or a summer cool true. Really, really beautiful. And from what I've heard, this brand is known for their shimmers. Well, those are cute. They've got a nice pigment to them. Little shimmer swatches here. My arm is now glitter heaven from swatching some of these K-Beauty shadows, but this is really pretty. I can't wait to use this. And last but not least, we have 3CE eyeshadow palette. This is from the Split Second collection, and this color palette is called Autofocus. Soft mauvey pink color of the packaging to the kind of more burnished pink color story. This is the epitome of a soft muted summer color palette, and it's so pretty. I did end up buying this entire collection. I believe this was like a fall winter collection from 2021 or 2022. When I was on Olive Young, I ended up buying the entire collection recently. I've also got right here, there was 2 nail polishes in the collection, which we can talk about nail polish in another video, but these are beautiful and I like them a lot better than the color I have on. I'm finishing off with 46 cool toned to neutral cool toned eyeshadow palettes. A lot more than I thought I would have, and if I look different now than I did in the reflection that you might see. I just got home from dinner not too long ago, and I had caffeine at dinner, and if you follow me on Instagram, I've been talking about how I'm in this like health journey, and just for my own amusement, I decided to take out caffeine, but at dinner, all of my friends are having a cocktail, and I don't drink, so I'm like, okay, let me have a Coca-Cola and caffeine. So now it's 10:30 at night. I am wired up past my bedtime, and I'm editing the video so I can post it tomorrow morning. And I've got makeup on, which I didn't in the previous footage. So on my eyes, I'm actually wearing one of the eyeshadow palettes we talked about today, the Roman Better Than palette in 03 Rosebud Garden. And I've paired it with the Peri Para Ink Velvet in number 17, which is rosy nude on the lips, and a blush that I've purchased since I did my blush collection, Chanel Jus Contrast blush, and this is number 72, Rose Initial. We are going full on soft, muted summer, leaning into soft autumn with my muted green cardigan. That is the vibe. This is the end of the video. If you had fun, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section, and let me know if there is a palette out there you think I need to check out and add to the collection, because I would love to do so. So until the next time, I hope you are taking care of yourself wherever it is you are in the world. I will see you later. Bye, y'all.